Caregiving can sometimes feel like an impossible struggle. Caregivers may be torn between taking care of loved ones and trying to maintain balance in life. The good news is that it doesn't have to be that way. The Caring Generation with host Pamela D Wilson is here to focus on the conversation of caring. You're not alone. In fact, you're in exactly the right place to share stories and learn tips and resources to help you and your loved ones. So now, please welcome the host of The Caring Generation, Pamela D Wilson.
This is Pamela D. Wilson, caregiving expert, speaker, consultant, and guardian of the Caring Generation. The Caring Generation focuses on the conversation of caring, giving us permission to talk about aging, the challenges of caregiving, and everything in between. It's no surprise that needing care or becoming a caregiver changes everything. The Caring Generation is here to guide you along the journey, to let you know that you're not alone. You are in exactly the right place to share stories and learn about caregiving programs, information, and resources to help you and your loved ones plan for what's ahead. Invite your aging parents, spouses, family, friends, colleagues, coworkers, and everyone you know to listen to the show. If you have a question or an idea for a future program, share your idea with me by commenting on my social media posts on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and LinkedIn. You can also complete the caregiver survey on my website. Go to PamelaDWilson.com, click on the Contact Me button, and click on Caregiver Survey. This week, we're talking about how to stop feeling distracted and overwhelmed, which can become a habitual behavior if you are a caregiver with a never-ending to-do list who places the needs of others first. I'll share some examples of feeling distracted and overwhelmed, including how caregivers become mentally overstimulated, plus 3 things to consider: creating mental distractions, physical distractions, and daily routines to help you mentally reset and regain focus. Feeling distracted and overwhelmed can be a regular part of your day, regardless of your life situation. Many of us feel this way. But how often do we stop to acknowledge the feeling and think about doing something about it? I'll use myself as an example. This past week, something unexpected happened, and this event mentally distracted me from the day that I had planned. Now, years ago, when I was a care manager, unexpected events happened almost daily, but this was expected. I planned my day, and I would receive a phone call about a client being sent to the emergency room, and I and sometimes my staff had to readjust our day to do whatever it took to manage that. I called this triage. We responded to the most time-sensitive health-related issues faced by our clients. Another example could have been a transportation company not showing up to take a client to a doctor appointment. Care managers solve problems. So in all these cases, we quickly shifted from one task to another and eventually got back on track with what we had planned for the day. This experience may be common depending on your daily job or responsibilities. For example, firemen and firewomen respond to emergency situations all day. So do EMS providers. So do doctors and staff working in hospital emergency rooms. That's what you do. But what if you don't have one of those jobs? What if you're not in a situation where you expect or wait for emergencies to happen or time-sensitive situations to happen so that you can respond and do your job? If you have a relatively stable job or daily routine, you may occasionally experience an event that disrupts your emotions, mood, or sense of calm. And let's say that after that happens, you need to go on with the list of items you had planned for the day because other people are depending on you. Being sidetracked or derailed by something unexpected can result in an emotional or mental distraction or exhaustion that sets your mind off in this spiral of frustration and anxiety and worry that just doesn't stop. When a loss of focus occurs, it's very easy to feel overwhelmed, agitated, irritated, and frustrated. Depending on the issue that takes one off track, the mind can either shift to worry or negative thoughts, or stay calm. Worry, though, is common when new problems arise and you don't have a proven solution. In many of these cases, time sensitivity can be another challenge. Is this distraction something that can be immediately solved? Or is this a longer-term issue that requires investigation? Or can it wait 24 hours? If so, examining this action-time relationship can be a factor in regaining focus more quickly if the action that you have to take to resolve that issue can be delayed. In other situations, the interruption happens and there's not enough information to understand the short-term or the long-term effect. You just know that it's a problem. Let's use a simple example everybody's probably experienced, right? You wrote a check or you paid a bill online, and then all of a sudden it's like, holy smokes, you realize there is not enough money in the account because you didn't think about other payments that haven't cleared yet, and it looked like you had more money in there than you do. So in this case, you might be rushing to transfer money from your savings account to cover the payment, or maybe you have to wait until the next payday to cover the expense. And you know you're going to be hit with a hefty insufficient funds charge in your bank account. When I managed money for clients, some had overdraft protection on their accounts. Many people do. But for my clients, the result was huge monthly fees totaling hundreds of dollars that could have been managed if they had a budget, which I eventually did create for them. They just knew that, well, heck, if I write a check and there's not enough money, the bank's going to cover it. But they didn't look at their bank statement to see $25 or $35 or $55 every time that payment bounced. So part of responding to unexpected situations or interruptions is this idea of time sensitivity. It's also other factors like this check or payment to know the status of an issue to figure out whether it's easily addressed or it's more complicated. So in these situations, you have this spiral of frustration where you feel like you're caught up in the issues and you can't refocus on the bigger picture of what you were doing because you're worried about this thing. Or maybe you know you have a project or a deadline at work, but your mind is just not cooperating. It's staying stuck on that thing, that interruption. There's actually research about getting lost in a forest or a desert and how the mind processes returning to safety. So if you think of feeling distracted and overwhelmed as being temporarily lost, you are in a similar situation because you've lost your focus because you have a problem to solve. You want to get back to your routine or you want to get back to a safe space. There's a research article called Walking Straight into Circles by Jan Surman and other contributors. It's published in Current Biology. I'll place a link to that study in the podcast transcript in case you'd like to read more about this because there are similarities. The outcome of the research confirms that people do tend to walk in circles when they lack landmarks to guide them. So you might ask, Pamela, what does research about walking in circles have to do with how to stop feeling distracted and overwhelmed? The research is relevant because of the correlation between feeling lost and needing a landmark, information, or guidance to return you back to balance, stability, and safety. because feeling overwhelmed and distracted disrupts your daily stability and your sense that everything is okay, that you're safe, that other people are safe. It doesn't matter if you're a caregiver, a student, a spouse, a mother, a father, a company president, or whatever your job or role in life is. Everybody feels this way occasionally. When balance or equilibrium is disrupted, we all want things to return back to normal. Look at COVID. We all wanted things back to normal as soon as possible. And in some cases, that still hasn't happened. So what happens is sometimes we don't know how to make this change back to normal happen, and we need help from other people. So back to my story from last week, my day was disrupted. I recognized that I was a little bit off course, so I started mentally thinking of ways to re-ground myself. Grounding is a term that you may or may not be familiar with. The traditional definition of grounding means mentally and emotionally stable, sensible, realistic, and being present or conscious about the emotions that you're feeling in the moment. Other people may relate grounding to putting the bottoms of your bare feet on the ground so your body touches the earth. That is grounding. Grounding can also be walking through grass with your bare feet, laying in the sand, swimming in the ocean. But in simple terms, it really means being in harmony and feeling at peace, feeling good. If you're a caregiver or you work in a high-stress job, this may be very different from how you feel most days. You may be highly stressed and overwhelmed and waiting for the next bad thing to happen. So the question is, how to move forward toward harmony and peace and away from feeling distracted and overwhelmed. The first step is to recognize that you feel distracted and overwhelmed, and how these emotions and feelings impact your life, your work, and your relationships. Actions that you take, mental, physical, and daily routines can help you feel more grounded and at peace, even if everything in your life is spinning around in circles and going crazy and it's just a ball of stress. We control our reactions to situations and other people. If we are grounded, we can stop or revise our reactions in that moment and respond differently to other people before we say or do something that we might regret. So there are simple things we can do to avoid daily distractions when we notice them. Simple things like turning off the volume on your cell phone or your computer if those annoying beeps from messages or emails coming in disrupt your mind and the projects that you're working on, or if they cause you stress. Background noise at home or in the workplace can be a disruption. If so, wear noise-canceling headphones or play music in your earphones that you enjoy that's not distracting. Something like spa music, instrumental, jazz, piano, some other quiet or relaxing music that's just music, not something that you're going to sing along with, if that's disruptive for you. So the first step is to look at your environment and set yourself up for success to stop feeling distracted or overwhelmed. If you live in a busy, noisy household, this can be challenging. There may be times when, like young children, you have to take a time out for 10 minutes to sit outside or go to your room in total quiet to recenter and ground yourself and think about why you're feeling the way you're feeling. If you care for a loved one with dementia or Alzheimer's who has behaviors, part of these behaviors can relate to feeling distracted and overwhelmed. It's easy for persons with memory loss to feel overwhelmed by too much noise or too much activity in their surroundings because their brain has slowed to a point that they can't make sense of everything that they're seeing or hearing. So for them, the solution is similar: how to calm the environment. Now, these next suggestions are for people without memory loss because we will talk about purposely creating, right? Mental distractions that take focus, they use your executive function, your memory, your spatial relationships, and other aspects of the brain that people with dementia struggle with. So let's look at creating a variety of mental distractions to stop feeling distracted and overwhelmed. These include mental distractions that you must plan for, knowing or expecting that there are going to be days or moments when you want to stop feeling distracted and overwhelmed, or maybe this is your daily life. Maybe you're one of those people that works in a high-stress situation and you've got all these things coming at you every day. And you're thinking, how do I calm my emotions? How do I not be so up and down all the time? These suggestions aim to take the focus away from that frenzy, frustration, overwhelm, feeling distracted, and they can retrain the brain to return to a place of calm and focus and peace. The first is called photographic memory. Put a couple of photographs on your desk or carry one with you. Or you could also have a magazine or a book with pictures that you have close to you. When you get upset, look at the photo and concentrate on the details. Then turn over the photo, shut the magazine, the book, and recite every detail that you remember. Or if you really want to test your memory, write down the information and then go back and look at the picture and see how well you did. You can also use other mathematical games or tools to stop feeling distracted and overwhelmed, like count backwards from 100 in threes or fours, or forward in a similar sequence. Feel free to write the numbers on a piece of paper. You can also create categories of things and write the words down. For example, dogs. And you'll list all of the types of dogs you can recall. Cocker Spaniels, Great Danes, Golden Retrievers, Springer-Doodles. You can also do this with the 50 United States, or if you like nature, you can name trees or flowers or maybe a fish, any subject that you can think of to distract you from this emotional turmoil. The goal is to get your mind away from those distractions so that you can return to focusing on what you were doing before the distraction. Let's take a quick break. You can visit my website, PamelaDWilson.com, to access my online caregiving program, How to Care for Aging Parents. There are over 150 episodes now of this Caring Generation podcast. You'll find my caregiver library there and links to my online support group on Facebook. It's called the Caregiving Trap. You can also visit my YouTube channel to watch hundreds of videos answering questions caregivers ask. I'm Pamela D. Wilson, caregiving expert, advocate, and speaker. Stay with me. I'll be right back. This is Pamela D. Wilson, caregiver expert, advocate, and author on the Caring Generation. Check out my website, PamelaDWilson.com. There is something there for everyone. You'll find my online caregiver course, my book, The Caregiving Trap, my caregiver blog, this podcast, hundreds of articles in my caregiving library, all written by me. There's something for everyone at PamelaDWilson.com. Let's talk about two ideas that use mental and physical distractions to help you refocus and ground yourself with these ideas that cross both your mind and your body. One is pretty well known. You may have heard of it. It's called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And for this one, you might want to write down this list. See, feel, touch, hear, smell, and taste. So you start with the numbers. Begin with and name 5 things that you see. Then 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. This is a very common coping technique for anxiety. I'll put a link in the podcast transcript for the article from the University of Rochester Medical Center that describes this technique in detail. There's also one more great idea illustrated in this same article. This article, 54321, Coping Techniques for Anxiety, includes a link to a video, and it's called Hand on Heart. It's illustrated by Melissa Nunes-Harwit. She is, I believe she's a social worker. And this is a really short video about the Hand on Heart method that offers a technique to help calm you down when your heart and your mind are just racing. There's so many resources that I'm going to share during this program on how to stop feeling distracted and overwhelmed that really focus on managing immediate emotions and feelings. Now, if you're looking for specific resources about planning and problem solving to take this a step further, you can listen to last week's podcast. It's episode 162, Why is Problem Solving So Hard? This podcast episode today, though, mainly focuses on emotions that take you off track due to unexpected events and how you're going to gain or regain attention, focus, and composure. If you're looking for other practical problem solving and care management tips, go to my website, look for the online course, Caring for Aging Parents. Let's consider more ideas for how to stop feeling distracted and overwhelmed that are specific to creating physical distractions. As I mentioned, that hand on heart method can be very helpful, as we just discussed. I find it a great tool. You can also find daily routines from Donna Eden. She is an energy medicine practitioner. She offers a 5-minute daily energy routine that I do myself every single morning after I meditate so that I stay in a calm and balanced mood all day. So, if you want to find a link to Donna Eden's daily energy routine, it'll be in the show transcript if you're curious or interested. Other ideas are to create physical distractions, and an obvious one that we can all do is to take a break. Walk away from your desk, take a time out after a heated discussion with a loved one, or a meeting that didn't go how you expected, or any type of disagreement, or maybe you received some feedback at work that you didn't like. Just go take a time out. Sit in a quiet room for 10 minutes, take a quick walk, go outside, but do this activity yourself instead of picking up the phone and calling somebody to complain or seeking empathy or understanding from a person who happens to be near you. I say do this alone because taking a break that continues to focus on the event that upset you isn't really taking a break. It's like throwing more hot coals on a fire. Your emotions will remain high and you won't really solve anything. You will stay upset and you'll be spinning and spinning and spinning in that emotion. The goal here is to stop the spinning. Now, you might also enjoy reading for inspiration. If so, keep a book nearby that you can turn to in a moment of feeling upset. Read a few pages of happiness or inspiration so that you can tell your brain that you are not going to that dark place. You are not going to get upset. You are not going to let this little emotional upset derail your day, sidetrack what you were going to get done. Just as we control our responses and our reactions to situations and other people, we can learn to tell our brain how we want to think and respond. Now, this does take a bit of practice. It takes being attentive to what's happening in the moment so that you can choose how to respond rather than just responding. If you know that you will be in a stressful situation, you can also carry an item in your pocket or place the item on your desk. These include things like a favorite rock or a crystal, maybe a rabbit's foot, a squishy toy, or a fidget toy. Fidget toys have become way more popular, and they're great for anyone experiencing anxiety. The goal of a fidget toy, and I'll give some examples in a second, is to relieve stress and serve as that distraction in an overstimulating environment. Fidget quilts have been around for years for persons diagnosed with Alzheimer's or dementia. You can look them up on the internet. Fidget quilts are small, maybe 12 inches by 12 inches or lap size. These quilts have items sewn onto the quilt squares like buttons or snaps that can be touched or felt, or the material is of a different texture. Fidget toys are also popular these days for people with developmental disabilities, people diagnosed with ADHD, other types of mental diagnoses. An example is if you've ever seen bubble wrap, right? You order something from the store and it comes in bubble wrap. And how many times have you been tempted to just sit there and pop all of those bubbles one by one? Well, today you will find a fidget toy that is similar to bubble wrap in bright colors. It's plastic and it has all these bubbles that you basically pop. Now, in addition to this, there are fidget spinners. You got the old-fashioned yo-yo. How many of you remember Silly Putty, Etch-a-Sketch, or Rubik's Cube? Research confirms that keeping the hands occupied will help the mind focus. Establishing daily routines is the third suggestion on how to stop feeling distracted and overwhelmed. Now, some of these I've discussed in other programs and on my website, but if you're unfamiliar with them, let's take a second look. Reminders are always great. Daily exercise is good for the body, mind, and spirit. Exercise and physical activity are the one proven thing that helps the body withstand the challenges of aging as long as you don't injure yourself. Elderly parents come to need help because of physical difficulties, physical disability, physical weakness. For example, an inability to stand for long periods of time to cook a meal. Poor balance can make parents a fall risk. Low strength means that they may attempt to do something and injure themselves. So here's a couple of examples. Do your parents need help to carry groceries into the house or to carry anything? That's physical weakness. Then there's the idea of poor endurance. Do your parents walk 50 feet and they are out of breath and exhausted? Now, this can relate to a health problem like COPD or heart disease, but they didn't get there because they were physically fit. So if you want to avoid becoming like your parents, exercise and build up your physical strength, which according to research begins declining after age 30 if you don't do something about it. How old are you? For how many years has your body been in physical decline if you don't exercise regularly? You don't have to join a gym. There's no cost to exercise, right? There's plenty of exercise videos on YouTube, hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands. And as long as you live in a safe neighborhood, you can also go outside and take a walk. You can walk in an office building if you work there. You can walk inside a mall if the weather's bad. Schedule 30 minutes of exercise into your day, and you will be surprised how quickly your mind goes from negative to positive. And don't allow yourself to make an excuse about why you can't exercise. There's excuses for everything in our life, right? Once you do it, you'll be glad you did. I can't tell you how many times I get to the gym and somebody will comment and say, oh my gosh, I really didn't want to come today, but now that I'm done and I'm leaving, I feel so much better. That is so true. Meditation is another stress reliever that I talk about. It's good for your health and your mind. You can meditate twice daily, once when you wake up and once before you go to bed. Pick the meditation technique that you like. I have done transcendental meditation for more than 20 years, and I swear by it. I've also discussed keeping a complaint or a worry journal to stop feeling distracted and overwhelmed. So if your mind gets into one of these spirals and it just keeps going on stressful topics, on worrisome topics, distractions, stop a minute. Write down what your worry is, put it away. Then worry at your designated daily worry time. Schedule it. 6 to 6:15, 6:15 to 6:30 in the evening, whenever you want to worry. Then your worry's over. Stop. This activity will help you train your brain again to understand that certain things happen at certain times. And this will stop you from allowing worry or distractions to sidetrack your day. Another positive activity to stop feeling distracted and overwhelmed is to keep a gratitude journal. Every day, write down 3 things that you are thankful for. This activity again trains the brain to be mindful and positive and think positively. Appreciation is a wonderful antidote to stress, worry, and distraction. You can also keep a journal and write down more details and more information. Intention setting is another daily routine that can be very positive for you. When you wake up, before you jump out of bed to start the day, think about your plans, how you want your day to go. Say something like, my intentions for today are, and list them out. Things like, I will be patient and kind to everyone I meet. I will give somebody a compliment. All of my interactions with others will go smoothly because this is my intention. And maybe I will complete this one thing that's on my list. Then at the end of the day, review your day. Congratulate yourself. Did it go well? Did something unexpected happen, but you dealt with it in a positive manner? The more intentional we become about our time and monitoring our emotions, the less we feel pulled into feeling distracted and overwhelmed and into other people's problems and their drama. Now, these struggles happen to everyone occasionally, right? We get distracted, our day goes to heck. But rather than having your entire day derailed or sidetracked by these distractions or the unexpected, if you start practicing one of these things, you'll know exactly how to stay on track or get back on track very quickly. Dealing with emotions, whether we are a caregiver, the person who needs care, or any person in any situation, it's difficult when we don't have tips or resources or routines to fall back on. Just like getting lost in the forest or getting lost in the desert, you need landmarks. Sometimes you have to create your own landmarks. This is why asking for help and reaching out to other people is beneficial. We're all limited by our environments, the place we live, where we went to school, the families in which we grow up, the people we spend time with. But by being open to outside experiences, we can learn that there may be a lot of different ways to respond to situations. We can learn new habits and ideas. I am the person that I am today because of all of my life experiences and the amazing people I've met. And of course, not all of my life experiences were good. I'm like everybody else. I hit bumps in the road. I have problems. But I learn from these problems and from these experiences so they don't repeat. And I have an attitude of gratitude. When we have that, we can be kind to other people and kind to ourselves. And it really does open yourself up to a pretty amazing world. Positive things will start to happen in your life when you are kind to other people. And no matter what you see on the news, and again, there's a lot of bad things on the news, but don't believe everything that you see and hear. The intention of the news, of news people, is to influence people to think the way that those who are presenting the information think, or to limit you to think that everything you see on the news, that everything is like that. I'll tell you, it's not true. Be your own thinker. Become discerning. Think of the pros and cons. Be willing to think differently. Stop judgment of other people, and you'll be better able to stop feeling distracted and overwhelmed by all that the world throws at you. By focusing your attention on the things you want in your life and not the things that you don't, you can make progress toward having the life that you want. So many caregivers share their stories about giving up everything to care for other people. Making this sacrifice is a choice. You can choose differently. So many caregivers I talk to look back and they regret losing years of their lives and the opportunity to build a career, get married, have children. Instead, all they're focusing on is their anger at siblings or other family members who didn't help. What does this resentment accomplish? It's a dead end. It goes nowhere. Why give your time to people who have no idea that you're angry at them or even care that you're angry with them in the first place. In this situation, the only person to blame for our choices is ourself. So if you don't like the choices that you made, if you don't like where your life is, make a plan and choose differently. I know that feeling distracted and overwhelmed can be really exhausting if you are a caregiver. This podcast and hundreds of other episodes of The Caring Generation offer information, education, resources, tools, tips, and options to end ongoing emotional drain that can include feeling hopeless. These podcasts offer practical tips for how to care for aging parents, yourself, how to manage all aspects of caregiving, aging, relationships, everything in between. I'm here on this podcast and on my website to give you hope that you can create a better life. But you have to make that choice. You have to want to. And the only way to start is by doing it one day at a time. I thank you all for continuing to post questions for this podcast and the videos I share on my YouTube channel. If you're looking for answers to caregiving and aging questions, visit my website, PamelaDWilson.com. There you'll find caregiver education, information, and resources in my library, Caring for Aging Parents blog, my book, The Caregiving Trap, plus an extensive step-by-step online open course program. It takes you through the A to Z of caring for elderly parents. There's absolutely no cost to the program. The only cost is your time and your willingness to learn and think differently. This is Pamela D Wilson, caregiving expert, advocate, and speaker on The Caring Generation. I look forward to being with you again soon. God bless you all. Sending love to everyone. Sleep well tonight. Have a fabulous day tomorrow, and enjoy each day until we are here together again.
Tune in each week for The Caring Generation with host Pamela D. Wilson. Come join the conversation and see how Pamela can provide solutions and peace of mind for everyone. Here on Pamela D. Wilson's The Caring Generation.